Chapter 7. The highway passed by swiftly as Sandra drove back home. There was very little conversation between her and Shirley. When they reached the city limits, Sandra asked her if she would mind riding with her while she picked up some clothes. For some reason, she felt better with company along as she parked in the garage. On the ride through the city, she had told Shirley a little of what happened. So when Sandra got out of the car, Shirley followed. It didn't take long for the two women to get the few belongings that Sandra wanted. She packed 2 bags, and as Shirley watched her pack some of the men's clothes, she remained silent, not asking questions that might be none of her business. "Well, I guess that just about covers everything," Sandra said as she glanced around for the last time. "You want to come on over to my place?" Shirley asked. "Just until I can find me another place," Sandra answered quietly, then led the way out of the apartment. For the next 2 days, Sandra searched for an apartment. She finally found a furnished 1-bedroom apartment out on 110th and Budlong, well outside of the Los Angeles district. Thursday morning was slow for her. She had exchanged cars, trading in hers for an older model. She had wanted to make sure she got something that wouldn't break down on them while out on the highway. Now, with just hours to go, she became nervous. She had moved into her apartment, away from Shirley, so that the other woman wouldn't expect anything. As the hour of departure grew near, she began to gather everything she thought they might need. She counted the money she had got out of the bank. It was $1,500, enough to take them just about anywhere Chink might decide they'd need to go. Back at the prison compound, Chink made his way to the dining hall. Jimmy tagged along. He had constantly worried Chink about the chance of going along. "Listen, man," he continued as they sat at a table by themselves. "Let me just go along as far as the city. I ain't asking you to take care of me or nothing like that. I just want to get to Los Angeles. I can make it from there." Chink stared at the man coldly. "Jimmy, if anything should happen, man, I'd hate that you were involved. I'm going all the way, man. All the motherfucking way. Ain't nothing gonna stop me. You understand that? Nothing, man." "I can dig it," Jimmy replied shortly. "I'm game to go all the way myself, man." Going against his better judgment, Chink finally agreed. "Okay, man. But remember, if anything happens, baby, you begged into this shit. I don't want you along, but if you insist, I'll take you along." Chink turned his head and stared out of one of the dining room windows. What could happen? He went over it for the 1,000th time. Nothing. It should go smooth and simple. If Sandra was there on time, if the count went off like it should, they would have an hour or possibly 2 hours before another count. So what could happen? They should be in Los Angeles by then. There were quite a few ifs involved, but from every angle it still seemed simple. "Okay, Jimmy, be ready after the 9 o'clock count, but just remember, man, you wanted this, not me." Jimmy smiled. In a few hours, he'd be with his woman. His heart beat faster. It was all he had thought about for the past few days. He knew Chink wouldn't go and leave him, not if he worried him enough. And that was what he had done. From morning to night, until he had worn the man's patience down. Now Chink had finally agreed to let him go, and it was going to be tonight. When they left the dining room, Chink stretched out on his bunk and began to read. Jimmy was too excited for that. He went outside and walked around the compound, staring into the woods that he knew he'd be in sometime that night. "Johnson!" The sound of his name was called in a harsh and commanding voice. "You keep staring off in the woods like that and you'll make me think you've got ideas of getting a little rabbit in you." At the sound of his last name, Jimmy almost jumped out of his skin. He turned around to see the guard standing right behind him. He had been so involved in his thoughts that he hadn't even heard the guard come up behind him. Jimmy grinned and spoke politely. Hi, Officer Williams. I was just thinking about all the times I went hunting back home in the woods. These remind me of them back home, you know? The officer nodded his head and walked on around the young prisoner. He wasn't worried. He had never figured it out. But ever since he'd worked at the prison compound, no black inmate ever ran away. For some reason, they just didn't run, while the whites were just the opposite. If he had walked up on a white boy gazing through the woods like that, he would have been more than suspicious. But since it had been a black inmate, he quickly forgot about the matter. Later on that night, he would think about it again, but then it would be too late. Chink got up and took a hot shower to ease his nerves. After the shower, he sat on Jimmy's bed and played checkers for a while. The night passed slowly. After the 7 o'clock count, the men started racing towards the television room. "God damn," Jimmy said again. "This waiting is sure enough bad shit." "Be cool, man. Just be cool. Time gonna have to pass, so just be cool," Chink cautioned, but he knew how the man felt. 8 o'clock finally came. Just one more hour, Chink told himself. By now, Sandra should already be on the highway. He stretched out on his bunk and imagined her driving down the highway. He thought about Jimmy asking him about Sandra picking them up, and his refusal to admit she was the one. For some reason, one he couldn't explain to himself, he hadn't wanted to bring her name into it. Jimmy would find out soon enough who was picking them up. Until then, let him guess. Finally, the bell rang for the 9 o'clock count. Chink jumped off his bunk and stood beside his bed. The men lined up quickly. There was a good movie on television and they wanted to get back into the television room and see it. The faster they lined up, the quicker the guard would take count. But the officer passed by slowly, checking off each name as he went past. Chink returned to his bunk but only leaned on it. Jimmy's face was lit with excitement as he glanced at his partner. Chink waved his hand for Jimmy to be cool, not to act too impatient. As soon as the guard walked out of their wing, the all-clear bell rang. Chink smiled. So far, so good. At least they wouldn't be held up while the guard made a second count. As though he had all the time in the world, Chink opened his locker and took out a small flashlight. He had had one of the prisoners on work release bring it back from town. He slipped it in his pocket, then led the way down the corridor to the dining room. All the doors in the place were locked as soon as it became dark. Chink slipped inside the dark dining room and closed the door quickly after Jimmy came through. He held his finger to his mouth so that Jimmy wouldn't speak. He didn't want to take a chance on anyone in the kitchen hearing them. Sometimes the night cook would be on duty. A sharp sound of someone dropping a pot made him thankful he had been careful. The men moved silently across the room. Chink tried a window, then slowly began to open it. After he got the window open, he beckoned to Jimmy to go on through. He waited while Jimmy climbed out, then let himself out and closed the window. Jimmy let off, running for the woods. Chink cursed under his breath as he tried to catch up with the slim, streaking figure in front of him. Jimmy was entering the woods at the wrong point. This way they'd have to travel through too much of the woods. "Slow down, goddammit!" Chink yelled, as loud as he dared. Jimmy waited for Chink to catch up. "What's wrong, man? I know you didn't want to be fucking around crossing a baseball diamond. Anybody could have glanced out of one of the dormitory windows and seen us if we fucked around," Jimmy explained as soon as Chink reached him. "I wasn't going this way, man. I was gonna creep around past the office and stay in the shadows until I reached the fucking highway. Now we got to go through these fucking woods to reach the highway," Chink stated. "Don't worry about it," Jimmy replied. "I know my way around the goddamn woods, so don't let it bother you. I'll bring us right out where you wanted to be, and we won't be behind your time schedule." Before Chink could complain, Jimmy led off at a fast dog trot. Chink had to trot to keep up, and he still was behind. A branch caught his jacket, and he had to stop. The sound of a dog barking ahead put him on his guard. He went forward quietly, moving like a shadow. Suddenly, Chink heard voices in front of him. He crept forward, moving through the woods as if he were one of the night animals whose life depended on caution. As he parted some bushes and glanced out, he saw Jimmy, pinpointed in the beam of a flashlight. A farmer held a shotgun on him. In a flash, Chink realized what had happened. Jimmy, running straight ahead, had burst out of the bushes on top of a farmer out doing some coon hunting. For a minute, Chink thought about slipping around them, going onto the highway and catching his ride. If it had gone like he planned, none of this shit would have happened. Now Jimmy was in trouble. Suddenly, the farmer's voice came to him in the bush. "By God, I set out to coon hunt tonight, and I sure done caught me a coon, too." The farmer's cold laugh sent a dangerous chill down Chink's spine, and a cold rage overcame him. He knew now that he couldn't allow his friend to stay in the man's cruel grasp. The sound of the farmer's voice aroused all the contained fury in his soul. Suddenly, one of the dogs began to growl near him. Chink knew that he didn't have a choice in the matter anymore. He had to strike, and strike as fast as possible. He burst from the bush like a small black bear, moving like a streak. The farmer's dog set up a wild commotion, but it was too late. The farmer whirled, bringing up the shotgun. Chink grabbed the barrel of the gun and snatched it toward him, pulling the farmer off balance. As soon as Chink had the gun in his hands, he struck with the stock, catching the farmer flush in the face. He struck again, an unnecessary blow. Teeth and blood flew everywhere. The dogs barked at his heels, yet none of them had the courage to bite him. He turned the shotgun on them and cut loose with both barrels, killing 3 of the dogs at once. The rest of the pack bolted for the woods. Jimmy stared down at the farmer as if in a trance. "God damn, Chink, you done killed him," he said in awe. His face was flushed and fear was in his eyes. "Man, son of a bitch is dead, Chink. What we gonna do, man? I didn't plan on no murder." Chink stared at Jimmy. He wished he had saved a load of shot from the shotgun so he could have cut Jimmy down. The nigger was shitting in his pants. Chink made up his mind quickly. "Listen, man, you can still get out of this shit. Ain't nobody missed us yet. All you gotta do is go back and keep your mouth shut. In the morning when they start talking about the rumors, you act like it's the first time you heard anything about it, and you'll be all right." Chink wiped the sweat off his brow. He couldn't go back. He had a debt to pay, and nothing would come between him and that debt. Jimmy looked at him in wonder. "You sure, man? I mean, you don't mind if I get from under it like that? I'd hate to pull out on you, Chink, but murder, man. I just didn't think nothing like this would happen." Chink glanced down at the dead white man at his feet before he could reply. He hadn't planned on no murder either. There wouldn't have been one if he had come by himself. But he didn't mention it. What had happened had happened. Nothing could change it. The white man was dead. So be it. It wasn't going to stop him from finding them niggas who raped his woman. That he was sure of. "You do what you want to do," Chink said. "I got a ride to catch. I don't want my man to be out on the highway waiting and I don't show up." It would be better not to let this fool know that Sandra was the one picking him up, Chink decided again. He set off through the woods, not bothering to look back. Chink didn't even bother to wave goodbye. He didn't really trust himself in Jimmy's company. He was too tempted to kill the man. Jimmy watched Chink disappear into the woods. For a moment he wanted to follow, but something warned him that that would be the foolish thing to do. He'd better get back to the campgrounds as fast as possible and get this murder rap off his back. Once he made count, it would be Chink's case, no matter what Chink said later on. After leaving Jimmy, Chink made a beeline straight for the highway. He reached it out of breath, and he stayed in the bush until he saw a car coming slowly down the highway. He took the small flashlight out of his pocket and blinked it twice. The car suddenly picked up speed. It came to a fast stop right in front of the bushes. Sandra reached over and opened the door as Chink ran from the bushes. He jumped in quickly. Let's get the hell out of here, he said harshly, breathing hard. She stepped down on the gas, glancing in her mirror to see if there was any traffic behind them. Did everything go as smooth as you planned? She asked quietly. He slowly shook his head, then explained to her what had happened. Just goes to show, baby, that you can't do somebody else a favor. Now I got a fucking murder charge against me, while that bastard is back at the camp making sure his ass is safe. If I hadn't drug his sorry ass along, none of that shit would have happened. What will happen if he got busted on the way back? She inquired quickly. If that happens, baby, you can bet there will be a roadblock ahead of us somewhere, 'cause a motherfucker ain't about to keep his mouth shut. Nah, baby, if that nigga gets caught, it's all up for us. For a few minutes, Sandra was silent, thinking over what her man had said. Baby, you think I should get off the highway just in case something happened? No. If we get off the highway, we won't know where we're at. Fucking around in any of these small towns around here is trouble. I think our best bet is to stick to the highway and hope for the best. This is the fastest route back to the city, so just keep your foot on the gas. Just don't go fast enough for the highway patrol to stop us. I still got these fucking prison clothes on. She pointed over her shoulder. All you gotta do is climb back there in the back seat. I'm sure you'll find something that will fit you a lot better than that shit you got on. She grinned as he smiled at her for the first time since entering the car. Chink quickly climbed in the back seat and changed clothes. When he finished, he let down the window and tossed the prison clothes out, shoes and all. I feel like a new man now, he said as he climbed back up front. Damn, it feels good just to have on some decent rags, baby. Sandra glanced at the speedometer, then took her foot off the gas pedal. She had been doing close to 100. This car sure has a lot of pep, she said, trying to say something lightly, to take his mind off his worries. Yeah, Heavyfoot, he said as he slid over beside her. Just keep it on 80, baby. That will be fast enough. He leaned over and kissed her neck, then smelled the perfume she was wearing. Damn, baby, that sure smells nice. Always wear it. Silence fell on the couple in the car. They drove through the night, and when they reached the city limits, Chink spoke to Sandra quietly. Honey, I don't never want to go back alive, since I know they'll never let me out. I couldn't do life in prison. I just couldn't stand it, you understand? It ain't for me, baby. I'm gonna hold court in the streets, wherever they stop me. That's gonna be my court day. You hear? She glanced at him. I hear. And I understand, Daddy. I don't think I could stand seeing you behind bars for the rest of your life either. I mean it, Chink. I just couldn't stand the thought of you being there because of me. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for me, Daddy. I realize that. So I'm with you to the end. If it ain't but a day or a month or a year, whatever it is, we're together, honey. For Chink, just the words she said were enough to make everything worthwhile. No matter what time he had the love of a woman, one who loved him as much as he loved her. He glanced at her bandaged face and remembered his obligation. It would be paid, no matter what it cost. I got us an apartment out on 110th, Daddy. Should we go there now? Sandra inquired as they came up off the freeway. Baby. Did you get that other thing I told you about? He asked. It's in the glove compartment, Chink. But shouldn't we go home and rest first, Daddy? No, baby. In the morning, half the city will know I'm out. We got plenty business to take care of tonight, he stated, as he removed the pistol from the glove compartment. He examined the gun closely. It was a good one, a .38 police special. Take me to 51st and Western, baby. I want to pay my friend George a visit before he finds out I'm home and hides somewhere in a hole like the rat he really is. She didn't bother to argue. He had made up his mind, so all she had to do was follow his wishes. She parked in front of the apartment building he pointed out. As Chink got out of the car, she asked, "Should I come along, Daddy?" Chink shook his head. "No, baby. You don't need to come. Just as long as you know I'll handle it, that's good enough," he said, and closed the car door. Chink was not like other men. He didn't need the company of another person to help him find the nerve to do something unpleasant. He knew what he had to do and went about doing it, without asking help from anyone. He made his way up to the second floor and knocked on the apartment door. "Who is it?" came the inquiring voice of a woman. "Is George home, honey? Tell him the man with the bag is here. I want you to test some stuff for me," he said, and before the words were out of his mouth, the door was opening. As Chink barged in, the woman stepped back in surprise, her hand flying to her mouth. "That's right, baby, it's me, Chink. Looks like you know that punk you got done did me wrong, don't you?" George came out of the bedroom wearing nothing but his shorts. "What the fuck's going on in here?" he asked sharply, but as soon as he saw Chink, he started to back up. "Just freeze right there, punk," Chink ordered harshly. He waved his gun at George's woman. "You find a chair and sit down in it," he ordered, and the woman quickly followed his command. George came out of the bedroom explaining, "They made me do it, Chink. They made me. They come by here to cop, man, and stuck me up. Then they forced me to take them over to Sandra's house. I didn't want to do it, man, but they made me. You can understand that, can't you? I tried. I really tried. And when they started that shit with Sandra, I really tried to stop them. Didn't she tell you I didn't want no parts of it, man? No parts of it." Chink just stared at him. "I want you to tell me just what they did to my woman. And if you let anything out, I'll know, 'cause she already told me what happened. I just want to see how close to the truth you can come," Chink ordered. George came into the room and sat down on the floor. He began to talk, and as he talked, the tighter Chink's jaw became. Sandra had told him everything, except the sodomy part. She had kept that back, mostly because she was ashamed of what had been done to her. Chink could hardly trust his voice to ask, "Don't that nigger Tree still stay over on 41st Street near Hoover?" George shook his head. "No, Chink, he moved over to 9th Avenue, apartment 10. He stays there with his sister. She's got 3 kids and gets a check every month. She's scared to death of him, so she can't put him out." "And his partner, Fred, what about his home life?" Chink asked quietly. George wiped the sweat off his brow. He was going to get out of it yet, he believed. Chink wasn't really mad at him. He just wanted Tree and Fred. After all, they were the ones who did it. He hadn't done anything and hadn't got a thing out of it, except for the one balloon. "Fred stays with his mother over on Van Ness." He hesitated for a moment, trying to think. "It's the house right next to the alley. You shouldn't have any trouble finding it." George grinned at Chink as if they were partners. "If you should miss Fred at home, man, he's always up to the pool room near the Mug on Western. You can't help but to find him at one of the spots." George's woman looked at him and turned up her nose. Chink didn't miss the action. "What's wrong, missy?" Chink asked. "You don't like to hear your man snitch like that?" She looked at Chink. "If he was a man, he wouldn't have told you anything," she said, safe in the belief that nothing was going to happen to her. She hadn't been involved, even though she had helped talk George into getting Tree's help and taking off the robbery. Tree had given her 2 balloons for her own, but it hadn't been what she had hoped to get. The first bullet caught her high in the chest, and the second one split her nose wide open. George just sat and stared, dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that Chink had shot his woman. And then, death was on him before he realized it. Chink had put the gun up. With his strong hands, he reached down and gripped George's thin neck. The smaller man was like a child in his hands. He struggled, but it was all in vain. Chink held him at arm's length and slowly choked him to death. It was a slow death, as the man kicked and wiggled, but Chink never stopped the pressure. When he stepped out of the apartment, people were standing in the hallway. The gunshot noise had drawn them out of their filthy, roach-infested apartments to stare and wonder. Violence was not new to them, but it was always interesting. It would give them something to talk about the rest of the week. Chink brushed past them as if they weren't even there. The people stood in the hall and watched him walk away. No one tried to stop him. There was something about him that put fear in them. He never glanced one way or the other.